Hello everyone! Glad to see you on our channel. It will be entirely dedicated to testing and IT. And by this video we want to start the video cycle of the software testing course, so stay tuned. As this is the first video, we decided to start with the simplest but at the same time the most popular questions that will be interesting and useful for you. So today we will analyze the following questions with you. Who is a software tester? What is testing? Advantages and disadvantages of the profession. At the end of each video we will leave you a list of questions for self-control, so please listen carefully, and if something won't be clear, immediately write in the comments about it. So let's move on to the first question. Who is a software tester? A tester or software tester is a person who checks the operation of applications and looks for all sorts of errors and vulnerabilities in them. In his work, he is often guided by technical documentation and sometimes, when it is not available, just common sense. The tester tries to look at the application through the eyes of not only the developer, but also the user. Therefore, sometimes he intervenes in the development process and suggests adding more convenient functions to the program. Usually, the tester is engaged in checking the program itself or part of the program, its performance and UI. It happens that, and this is a normal practice, that these tasks are supplemented by checking technical instructions, databases, business processes, and the needs of the customer, if we are talking about outsourcing work, for example. In his work, the tester constantly interacts with customer representatives, project managers, business analysts, developers, and designers. You can dive deeper into theory, talk about various concepts, about QA, about QC, but as an introductory explanation, I think that this will be enough for general understanding. We will cover these issues in more depth in the next video of the courses. Therefore, if you understand at least superficially who a tester is, we move on to the second question. What is testing? Software testing is the process of evaluating and verifying that a software product or application performs its functions. Why is testing needed? Through testing, errors are prevented, development costs are reduced, and productivity is increased. As bright examples, we can tell about spacecraft crashes due to missed bugs in software, the recall of huge batches of cars due to defects that were not detected in time, and etc. I am sure that you have encountered a lot of bugs in programs and applications in your life. Well, now when you start studying testing, you will generally see them everywhere. The next point: advantages and disadvantages of profession. As in any field, testing has its pros and cons. Therefore, I would like to analyze the following pros and cons that you can hear about the profession. Many points have both positive and negative aspects at the same time, so let's figure it out together. Career ladder. If you work in IT, particularly in testing, you just have a million opportunities and direction for how and where to develop. Also, due to the rapid development of the IT field, you can grow as a specialist in a very short time compared to many other specialties and professions. The main thing is that you should understand what you want more and what you really like. By the way, I remind you that later in the next video we will discuss with you how and where you can grow and develop in testing. Constant development. The IT industry doesn't stand still. The tester is in the process of constant development in order to keep up with the trends and remain in demand. You need to be prepared for the fact that you will spend part of your free time on self-education. Go to conferences, watch training courses online, read books. This is a worthwhile investment that will pay off in the future. You need to understand that this is both a plus and a minus, since learning and developing is good. You are constantly improving, keep your brain in good shape, but at the same time you can get tired, burn out, overwork, etc. Not everyone likes this pace of life. Next point: low entry level. Now other testers will start throwing eggs at us or angry comments with dislikes, but I sincerely believe that their entry level is rather low in testing. By the way, about the likes, I remind you, if you have watched up to this point, then please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet. Thus you motivate us to try further for you. Like, subscribed, thank you, well go on. Low doesn't mean that it's easy and simple. In my understanding, it means that it will take less time to the level where you can finish courses or studying and get a job than in other directions. As an example, there are quite a lot of cases when people become testers from scratch in 2-4 months. And if we talk about such terms for development, it seems I have never heard of this. It takes from 6 months to a year there, when compared, for example, with design. Then there are also longer training periods and the portfolio is needed. By the way, this is another plus that the tester doesn't need to have a portfolio. As opposed to a low entry threshold, there is extremely high competition for the first job. I think you can see for yourself how many people now decide to change their profession and choose testing. This of course creates competition, and now in order to get a job you need to have much higher knowledge than a few years ago. Another point, you can work remotely. It seems that this is an advantage and we don't need to discuss it. Everything is clear here anyway. Working from anywhere in the world is cool and a huge plus. Also, I consider it's necessary to mention that some companies, especially banks, are against working from outside the country. And for example, when people urgently left the country, they had to quit because the employer didn't allow to work from abroad. Next point, same type of work. This is not entirely true, but in part, yes, a really significant drawback. Beginners, as a rule, are not trusted with something serious, but are given only the same type of tasks, which at the initial stage may seem very boring and uninteresting. But usually, this is only until you get acquainted with the product with which you have to work. Also, it's usually not very interesting to do regression testing. It's not the first time you've done the same checks. But if we talk only about my experience, then I will say that there was no such things that I once got bored or thought that my work was of the same type and uninteresting. This was not the case. Here you need to understand, of course, in which area you work, in which company, with which product, how the processes are built, etc. All this affects your perception and attitude toward work. Next point, creativity. This is an immediate counterbalance and the exact opposite of the previous thesis. But as I said, everything depends on many factors. So the work of a tester is not limited to what is written in the technical requirements for the system. He also thinks about what the team might have overlooked, forgotten or missed. The tester develops the skill to look at the system from different, completely undeprecatable sides. It tries to predict user behavior and make sure the features will work correctly. And in this format, work in testing is incredibly interesting. Some people can say that colleagues don't like testers. Often, developers don't like testers very much because they point out at bugs. But from my own experience, I'll say that I've never met this, because competent and adequate specialists understand why this is done, understand that you as a team have a common goal and you only help to make the product better. Next point, working with people. This is both a plus and minus of the profession, but being a tester means a lot of communication with people of different views and characters, be able to find an approach to them and get the necessary information. The tester works in a team, and productive communication with the team helps to create a quality product. Next point, English language. Well, of course you need to know it. Yes, you can find a job without it, but your opportunities and prospects will be severely limited because of this. English is important for a tester who wants to work on large projects. International teams often work on projects. For example, the testing team may work from Minsk, from Belarus, while the development team's office is in London. In this case, all communication will be in English. In addition, many news from the world of testing are published in English. Knowing the language will allow you to always be aware of the latest events. Of course, not everything is so sad. If you work for product companies in your country, then you will not need much English, mainly for interacting with software and for reading educational content. All communication in this case usually takes place in your native language. English is simply not necessary. This item is probably more related to the disadvantage, since learning a language is difficult and very time and labor intensive. But if you succeed, then this is a huge advantage. Immediately many new opportunities will open before you. Next point, responsibility or sense of responsibility. The tester says in the end whether we will release or not and gives a final assessment of the quality of the products being worked on. And from this, internal responsibility increases. Personally, I occasionally encounter some uncomfortable situations related to this. Sometimes you worry too much, and even on weekends this won't leave your thoughts. This is also not good. But at the same time, a sense of responsibility accompanies a sense of importance, which becomes an additional incentive and motivation. It's much easier to work if you realize the significance of your work. Next point, passive lifestyle. Testers spend a lot of time at the computer looking for the defects. To protect yourself from the negative effects of such a regime, take small breaks during the workday, warm up and go for short walks, go in for sports, walk, try to walk at least some part of the way to work. IT companies often support the desire of employees to do sports and organize sports classes without leaving the office, for example, weekly yoga or a gym. And another plus that I remembered is absence of age restrictions when applying for a job. But this doesn't work in all companies, and from time to time people experience ageism, but in many companies and in general in the IT field this is not the case, especially when compared with other areas. We figured out the advantages and disadvantages, and now write in the comments please what is exactly is advantage for you or what is a disadvantage. Also, a list of all articles and materials used to prepare this lesson will be in our Telegram channel, the link in the description of the video and in the pinned comment. So, come, look, subscribe, there are also a lot of useful things. And now let's move on to questions for self-control. They will be duplicated in the pinned comment. First question, who is a tester? Second question, what is a testing? Third question, why is testing important? Write your answers in the comments. By answering the questions and writing the answers, you will learn them much better. Well, when an active discussion unfolds in comment, it's always great and interesting. And I want to remind you, if you have watched up to this point, then please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet. Like, subscribed, thank you very much. And that's all for today. See you soon guys, bye bye.